Believe in Bigfoot, Dogman, any cryptid? Are you skeptical?
Curious about the supernatural, conspiracy theories, the unknown? Then come join us as we explore facts, tall tales, and encounters on Creatures and Curiosities.
Hello, and welcome to Creatures and Curiosities. I am David.
And I'm Jake.
And in this week's episode, we're going to be talking about the Skinwalkers from the Navajo legends.
It's going to be a good one.
Going to be a good one. It's frightening. It's really kind of hard to figure out what a Skinwalker actually is.
Because there's so many different secret variations.
Secret variations, yeah. The Navajo tribes don't really enjoy talking about it to outsiders. So we're going to do the best that we can to touch on what they are and, you know, how to understand when you might be in the presence of a Skinwalker and what you can or can't do about it.
Yeah.
So what I have found, though, is just not even just in research, but just talking to people about Skinwalkers, there's a little bit of confusion, I think, as to what a Skinwalker is, or sometimes they're lumped into the category of being a shapeshifter or a Wendigo. And they're actually very different. So in mythology and folklore, shapeshifting is the ability to physically transform oneself through like an unnatural means.
Right.
The popular idea of a shapeshifter is a human being turning into something else, but there's also numerous stories about animals that can also transform themselves as well. I guess the best way to look at a shapeshifter is an example would be like a werewolf or a vampire, something that started out as a human being and turned into something else. And of course, you know, vampires can be bats and then they turn into people.
Yep.
And so that's kind of what shape shifting is. And while a skinwalker can always be classified as a shapeshifter, not all shapeshifters can be classified as a skinwalker, because a skinwalker has an actual, how shall I say it, an origin to it.
Yeah.
Whereas a lichen, you know, could be, I guess they could be original lichens, right?
Yeah.
Or you could be bitten and turn into a werewolf in that lore.
Which they're just the coolest, you know.
So Dogman,
Yeah.
werewolves, all those are my favorite
Yep.
cryptids. There's no doubt about it. And when we get to that episode, that's the one I can't.
It's going to be my favorite one.
I can't wait for
Yep.
it. I've always wanted to be a werewolf.
Yeah, exactly. Two grown men want to be werewolves.
Yeah, it's kind of sick, but you know, if I was going to be something, I want to be a werewolf.
There you go.
So a skinwalker, obviously, because it can shapeshift, and that's, I mean, technically what it does, it'll be labeled a shapeshifter. But again, the confusion is that not all shapeshifters are skinwalkers. And then I also see where they get kind of confused with the Wendigo. And while we could have an episode in and of itself on Wendigos, so I'm not going to get into, you know, too much about it.
Because we're definitely going to do an episode on them.
We definitely have to, and they're terrifying themselves.
Yeah.
But they're definitely not a skinwalker. It's a complete separate entity. And so a Wendigo is basically a mythological cannibalistic creature or an evil spirit that actually originated from the Algonquian folklore. And that was, the Algonquian language was people of, let's say the northeast portion of the United States, Canada, most of the northern territories, and specifically around the lakes,
Right.
Superior and Huron and whatnot, all the Great Lakes. And I think it's best known like in the Cree Nation.
Yeah, there's like 15 different ones, but that's probably the most famous one.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Yeah.
But you hear a lot of it through the Cree folklores. And a Wendigo is said to be a malevolent spirit, which sometimes described as a creature with human-like characteristics, and they can possess human beings. And it's also said to cause its victims a feeling of insatiable hunger, the desire to eat other humans. That's a big part of a Wendigo, is the cannibalism.
Yeah.
And often the propensity to commit murder. So the Wendigo is, a lot of times it's associated with cold, like winter time, and famine. And so they're described as like a emaciated, bony creature with the like skin stretched over the bones. I've seen a lot of movies. You remember that TV series, Supernatural?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they had an episode with Wendigo as well. And
yeah, that thing was like, I think I remember that in the episode, the Wendigo would like mimic human voices and call out to them.
Yeah.
So that way they would think, oh, if someone's in trouble, it's my brother or whoever. And then when they went to search for it,
right,
it was actually it luring them in to trap them to kill them, eat them.
And so technically it was like shapeshifting into people.
Right.
And so it also has like this, it can have like rotting flesh, let's put it that way. And it stinks. It's got a foul odor to it. And some cultures also will say that the Wendigo is a giant. And the reason that they continue to grow and get huge is because after they eat somebody, they're said to have grown proportionately to their meal. So, you know, if you ate a child, they'd grow a little bit. They ate me, 6'2", 270. Yeah. They're going to get pretty big, right? So after they've eaten me and they've grown and stretched into this massive creature, they become hungry again, and their appetite's never suppressed. So Wendigos also have been known to be able to communicate with their victims, sometimes teasing and taunting them before eating them. And that was like that episode Supernatural. That's exactly what they were doing. He was shape-shifting into like women's husbands, and then he would beat them to death and then transform back into a Wendigo and go down into the sewers, I think is in that particular episode. But I've watched a few movies on Wendigos, and a lot of them will have different interpretations of it. A lot of them are giants. I think there's one where there was the one out in the forest and it has like an elk head or something with the massive horns, you know, or the antlers on its head. So I've seen the Wendigo in various forms in movies and books and things of that nature.
Which is funny because if you cruise the Reddits and subreddits, when people bring up that description of them, usually the people who know a little bit more about them actually hate that description.
Right.
With the antlers and stuff, because that's technically not how they're said to have looked.
Right. So that's not the original stuff. It was just this scary, evil, demonic, skinny, emaciated, nasty smelling being that was out to kill people. I mean, that's what it does, is it hunts you down. And it lures you out, maybe using the face of someone you know, and then it kidnaps you and eats you and grows and gets hungry again. And that's pretty much its entire existence. So that's kind of a brief overview of the difference between the three. A skinwalker is a shapeshifter, not necessarily a skinwalker.
Right.
And a Wendigo, definitely not a skinwalker, but kind of can be a shapeshifter as well.
Yep.
And so they can, I forget the name of that. I remember a million years ago in school, there's an actual, like it's a problem or a formula or something. You know, it's like all people that live in Lincoln live in Nebraska, but not everybody that lives in Nebraska lives in Lincoln.
Yeah.
You know, and I forget the term for that, but that's kind of how this is, right? Not all shapeshifters can be a skinwalker, but all skinwalkers are shapeshifters.
Right.
And so that's how you can look at that, as there is a complete difference in the three. So getting into, let's say, And this is difficult as well.
Right.
Because it can be anything. We're going to try and describe what a skinwalker looks like or could be. So a skinwalker is technically a witch or a sorcerer that has the ability to transform into any animal of its choosing. And a lot of times they will choose the animal that it wants to be for its particular abilities. So speed, if they need speed, they could become a cheetah.
Right.
If they need strength, they could become a gorilla if they want to. If they need to fly great distances, they can become an eagle. If they're trying to hurt you, they might have something with claws or massive teeth. Or whatever it is that animal's attribute is, they will assume that for the purpose that is before them.
And usually it's not a good purpose.
And it's never a good purpose. They're evil in nature, and it's not going to be anything good. The other thing that a skinwalker will do is they can, I'll give you an example. Let's say they're a snake and they want to come into your campsite and spy on you, to figure out which one of you they're going to eat or whatever the case is. And they're noticed. And so people take up arms and they go after it. Well, the skinwalker has the ability to immediately transform itself into something else that can get away. So now all of a sudden, it becomes whatever, an eagle or a cheetah or
jackrabbit, something quick.
Jackrabbit, something that, flies away or gets away quickly. Yeah. And now all of a sudden these guys, that spotted it and decided that it was a skinwalker, they can't catch it because it can shapeshift into whatever it needs to for the purposes of getting away. And there are other accounts of skinwalkers, like some of the original skinwalker stories talked about how they would use pelts of like prey or whatnot, and they would wear them and dance around in them.
Right.
And it was said that if they used the skulls or the antlers and wore those on their heads, they could obtain more power. And so a lot of art that you will see of a skinwalker would be like a human form wearing a pelt, wearing a set of antlers on their head. And that's like famous tribal art.
Right.
And so I think that the Navajo people who actually came up with this, so there's a ton of tribes in different areas and different regions. They all have like their versions of skinwalkers. And we're really kind of only talking about the Navajo in this particular podcast because there's just too many. There's too many to try and touch on and too many lores within different tribes as to how they become skinwalkers and what they look like and all that kind of stuff.
And within that lore, a lot of it's not shared.
That's correct.
Which makes it even harder to pinpoint and figure out what's what when we're trying to share this. So
that's correct. And it's also said that not only can they turn into animals, but they can possess the body of a human if the human locks eyes with it, and then the witch can control that human and make him or her do things that they otherwise would not do.
You got to think about that. Think about the story you were just saying with, you're out camping. Let's say there's 3 of us, and you see like a rattlesnake by the camp. You're like, well, we got to kill this thing because we don't want to get bit. And you go out to do it. But let's say you guys split up. Well, it realizes it's being chased. So now it turns into me, and you think it's me walking up to you when really it's a skinwalker.
Right.
And now you lock eyes with it.
Terrifying.
You're toast.
And that's why skinwalkers are as terrifying as they are.
Yeah.
You don't know what you're dealing with.
Right.
And we're going to kind of get into that when we get into the actual Navajo legend of it. So skinwalkers may also have other powers, such as reading minds, controlling their thoughts and behavior, causing disease and illness, destroying things, even resulting in human death. They can do all kinds of things. They're said to be able to control creatures of the night, like wolves and owls and coyotes and stuff. And some can even call up spirits of the dead and reanimate those corpses to attack their enemies. So now, you got dead animals, dead zombie animals coming after you, as well as the Skinwalker. I mean, it's pretty terrifying when you actually think about the lore that comes with a Skinwalker.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, there's so many ways that they can come at you, control you, and they're tricksters. I mean, so they lure you into this false sense that everything is okay, and then all of a sudden you're dead. And it's one, I would say, when it comes to cryptids, it's probably one of the most terrifying.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I mean, I find it horrifying to think about an encounter with the Jersey Devil. We're having that little gnome, peering in my window and stuff. But at least you know what you're dealing with.
Yeah.
I mean, as stupid as that sounds,
there's the fear of the unknown.
There's the fear of the unknown. And when you've got, I don't know, a dog in your backyard that doesn't look quite right, and all of a sudden it's a witch that's killing you, and you went out because you thought it was a stray dog.
Yeah.
You have no idea what you're dealing with.
Yeah.
When you've got a Skinwalker.
Well, it makes me think about when we were talking about the Smoky Mountains, when you hear the voices and stuff.
No, you didn't.
Yeah, no, you didn't. But then, like you just said with the stray dog, a stray dog runs up to you and it looks friendly. You're most likely, average person is going to pet it.
Yeah.
It's a Skinwalker.
And it's a Skinwalker.
Because it lured you in.
And boom, you're dead.
Yep.
And what can you do, So Skinwalkers have been known to run faster than cars. They have the ability to jump high objects, jump down from cliffs and whatnot. They're extremely fast. They're agile, basically impossible to catch.
Which just adds on to how horrifying they actually are.
Yeah, because they say that the Skinwalker, let's say the Skinwalker turns into a grizzly, and we know grizzlies can run 30 to 35 miles an hour.
Right.
The whole point behind the Skinwalker is that it's not really a grizzly. So its powers, now that grizzly's running 60.
Yeah.
Not 35. And so there's multiple accounts of that. If you search YouTube and look into stories of Skinwalkers, that people say, I'm driving 70 miles an hour down the highway and there's an animal running next to me, next to the car. Well, in North America, I think an antelope, a pronghorn, can run 60 to 65, maybe 70 miles an hour. Cheetahs are 70, 75. Which we don't have in North America.
Yeah, unless they're breaking out of the local zoo, which I doubt they are.
So if a Skinwalker can possess those kinds of abilities, just think how frightening that is. You couldn't even outrun it in your car if you were trying to get away from one.
Well, then think it's you're on a trail out in the woods. I'll go back to the woods again. And you look off in the distance and you think it's someone you were hiking with.
Yeah.
And then they start running at you 60 miles an hour because you locked eyes with them.
Yeah, it's too much to think about. And no wonder that the Navajo people are so terrified of these.
Right.
I mean, they are terrified because this is not folklore to them. This is reality. Right. Okay. So I know people listening to this that are interested in cryptids. We have a tendency to rationalize things.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
And say, that's not real, or, that'd be fun.
Yeah.
Isn't that cute? There's a Bigfoot,
Yeah.
But this is not the case with the Navajo people. They're like, these things are real, and you're an idiot for not believing it, because when it comes for you, you're toast.
You're done for, yep.
And so it's not a joke to them, and it's something that's very, very real. So kind of finishing up with the description of Skinwalkers, I did read that people have seen them or have seen maybe the transformation, whether they're going back to human form or going into animal form. They say that when they do see them, they're not quite human and not fully animal. And I'm going to kind of get into that later in the podcast and explain what I mean by that. But just real quickly, it's like if it's an animal, it doesn't have the animal eyes. It still has human eyes.
Yeah.
And so there's ways to kind of determine whether or not.
Which all the details just add more to the scariness of it.
Exactly.
Because it'd be scary enough just to walk across a regular mountain line, out in the woods.
Because it could be a wampus cat.
Let alone one with a person's head or something.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Or human eyes on a cat. That would just that would look freaky.
Even if it was something small like a rabbit. Just weird.
Yeah, too much for me. So these after their transformation or during transformation, usually the skinwalker ends up naked, or some people have reported that their clothing is tattered, kind of like the Hulk.
Yeah.
It's David Bannister 1 minute, turns into the Hulk, and then all of a sudden his clothes are all ripped and torn. I guess it's the same basic thing. They turn into an animal.
Pretty much any werewolf movie. When the guy gets bitten and then he doesn't think anything of it. Then he wakes up and his shirt's ripped and he's in the middle of the woods covered in blood.
Right.
Same thing.
Or naked.
Yeah, or naked.
So, skinwalker. That's exactly what it is. So, so that's a basic description of a skinwalker without, you could get into too many variations.
Yep.
Right? It's an endless realm of possibility when you're dealing with a skinwalker. It could be any animal, any person. It could be, I don't think they do inanimate objects, but people and animals. And so to actually describe a skinwalker is impossible, right? These are just possibilities that we're talking about that they could become. So, moving on and getting into like the legend itself. The lore of the skinwalker, and again, I say lore because that's what we believe, right? That this is a mythological thing. If you were Navajo, you'd say it's not a lore. It is real.
These are facts,
these are facts. These are real stories, and you get with the program.
Yeah.
But, because there are so many skeptics and whatnot, we just are going to continue to call it a legend or a lore. So the Navajo Nation is a Native American reservation of Navajo people in the United States. And it occupies portions of northeastern Arizona, northwestern New Mexico, and southeastern Utah. The seat of that Navajo Nation is located in Window Rock, Arizona. And the term skinwalker actually comes from the Navajo phrase, and I may butcher this because I don't speak Navajo, but it's Lee Naaldlooshii. And that actually translates into he who walks on all fours. The Navajo typically will not speak with outsiders about skinwalkers for fear of retribution. And due to lack of the contextual understanding of the stories by non-Navajos. And so if we don't get everything correct in this podcast, it's obviously because we're outsiders and we're not privy to the information regarding skinwalkers.
Well, they kind of adopted, they probably didn't adopt it, but you know what I mean? That those rules of the forest where it's kind of like, almost if you ignore it, then it's not going to get you, is what it kind of seems like.
Yeah.
If we don't talk about it, if we don't acknowledge it because this is evil stuff, then we're safe. Whereas if we start bringing it up, talking about it, letting you guys know about it, then it's going to become more and more, and then we'll be in danger because, like you said, this is stuff that they take seriously. So it's not a joke to them.
Right. They believe that the more they talk about it, especially to an outsider.
Right.
If you're not part of the Navajo tribe, if they talk to you about it, they're inviting that evil into their life. And the skinwalker may read their mind, know that they've talked about them, and then seek retribution against them.
Yeah.
And so that's a pretty powerful belief.
Yeah.
And I would assume that if we had a belief of that, I wouldn't talk about it either.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, if you believe that something's going to come get you just because you mentioned it by name, it's pretty terrifying.
Yeah.
So, getting into how this thing came about. The Navajo people believe that witchcraft is basically part of their spirituality. And it's one of the, and this is quote, ways, end quote, of their religion. The Navajo have a close relationship with nature, and they believe that there are two different kinds of people. There's earth people who are mortal, and there's holy people that are unseen spiritual beings or guides. And they believe that, like being ill or going through difficulties is a sign of someone's life in disorder or being out of sync with the universe, and that their illness or problems can be healed generally using a ceremonial herb or prayers and songs that are usually guided by their medicine men within their tribal community. So the medicine men, they utilize their powers to heal and aid members within the community, while those who practice Navajo witchcraft seek to direct their spiritual forces to cause harm or misfortune to others. And just so that everybody understands, when we're talking about witchcraft, there's the European version of witchcraft where we, picture double toil and trouble, and, the witches standing around a cauldron and
cursing people and burning people at the stake and all that.
Right. So it's not that kind of witchcraft. It's similar in that there are ceremonies and different rites and whatnot that are done. But it's not in line with the European style of witchcraft. It is kind of a black magic kind of a thing, and it's always done for the purposes of evil. So that particular aspect of the Navajo spirituality is not practiced by everyone within the tribe, but it is practiced by some, and it's considered to be one of the Navajo ways. And when I say ways, there are specific, I don't really know how to describe this for people, but there are certain rites or ceremonies and things that are done that they call ways.
All in the name of something good. Blessings and...
For the most part, yes. But there are evil things as well. So the Navajo believe there's places where there's powers of both good and evil. And those powers can be used either for good, such as healing, or for evil, for harming people or doing things that they shouldn't be doing, obviously. And they believe that there's a very thin line that separates that good from evil, or like their medicine man or shaman, however you want to term those people. Those are the good people, and then there's the witches. And they practice, typically there's 4 different ways within the Navajo witchcraft system. There's one called the witchery way, which during their rituals, the practitioners of the witchcraft, they focus on corpses, which is kind of sick, right? Yeah. So they're known to like rob graves and stuff and take the dead, and they use those bodies as part of their witchcraft. There's the sorcery way. During a ceremony, victims have personal objects or body parts, such as their hair and things of that nature, buried. There's the wizardry way, foreign objects like poison or cursed darts injected into their victims. There's the frenzy way, which are charms that are used to influence victims' mental or emotional state. And the witchery way is the best known form of Navajo witchcraft. And much like the other ways, it's handed down by elders of the tribe to those who want to learn it. And each form of witchcraft is based on death, with witchery way focusing on the corpses. And so the most well-known Navajo witch, which they call the Skinwalker, is the Lee Naaldlooshii. And those particular Skinwalkers are the ones that practiced the witchery way. There's other Skinwalkers also, like we talked about in the beginning. There's multiple versions and whatnot of Skinwalkers throughout different tribal communities. Pretty much everybody has their version of a Skinwalker. But the Navajo, we're talking about the Lee Naaldlooshiis. They do have one also, I believe it's called the Naaldlooshii. And according to some of the Navajo stories that I've read, the Naaldlooshii, they were originally the messengers for holy people when they were teaching about the blessing way, which is, it's a highly spiritual, like sacred, private event that occurs. And those were supposed to leave the mortal world with the holy people, but a few of them didn't want to leave. They stayed behind. And it turned out that their selfishness corrupted the powers that the holy people gave them. So because there's all these different ways within the Navajo tribes, there's different witchcraft ceremonies. There's different types of skinwalkers, etc. For the purpose of this podcast, we're only discussing the Lee Naaldlooshii because it's considered the most volatile and dangerous of them.
And we like the stuff that's horrifying, so we're going to stick with the more dangerous one.
Yeah, we like danger. So in some cases, these particular witches used to be respected healers or spiritual guides who later chose to use their powers for evil. And even though they can be male or female, I guess in their belief, most of these skinwalkers are male. They're said to walk freely amongst the tribe during the day, and then they secretly transform under the cover of night. And so the scary part about that for them is even as a tribal member, you may not know that you got a skinwalker.
Yeah, you could just be making clothes and the guy next to you is...
He's a deadly witch,
exactly.
or sorcerer, or however you want to say it, So yeah, it's kind of terrifying. And so you understand why they don't want to talk to outsiders.
Yep.
They don't want to talk to anybody about it.
Because they don't know who's who.
They don't know who's who.
You could be a skinwalker.
You could be a skinwalker, and they're talking to you about it. And next thing you know, they seek retribution. They kill you.
And then you're waking up dead.
You're waking up dead. I can't wake up dead. I love that show.
It's so good, yeah.
So part of the research showed that one of the ways that you can become a skinwalker, which is kind of sick and terrifying.
Oh, yeah.
If you think about this. To become a skinwalker, he or she, whoever's doing this, must be initiated by a secret society, which my assumption is that society is current skinwalkers. And I believe even there's a hierarchy within the skinwalkers. There's usually some, like older guy that's like the head. Kind of like in vampire stories and stuff where they always have the...
One guy's running the coven and the other ones are...
Yes. You got your...
You got to wonder how they even got in touch with them. Especially back then, like, are they sending in their application letter, like with their resume and like,
yeah, see,
hey, this is what I'm looking for.
And because they don't talk about it, you can't find it.
Right.
It's like, okay, so they're terrified of them, but some want to become them. Who do they go to?
Well, I guess that would
ask?
Maybe that would show how powerful they are. Maybe if you just sit by yourself and you're talking about it, then they'll recognize that, they'll hear you, they'll start watching you, and then I guess if they deem worthy, maybe they extend an invite or something.
They're looking for applicants.
Yeah.
That's pretty terrifying, but I would have to say, I mean, being an outsider and not knowing, that is probably a good analogy of how it might go down.
Maybe, I don't know.
They're being recruited.
Yeah.
More so than actually knowing where to go.
Because if you were trying to be a double agent, for a lack of a better term, and infiltrate them in the sense of taking them down because you think they're evil, if they can see all, hear all because of their sorcery, they would be able to sniff you out of a crowd easily.
Right.
There's no way you could hide that from them.
No.
In theory.
Right. And I would buy into that. I mean, I think that's a good way to look at it as far as like recruiting tactics, and you know what people are thinking, you can read their minds, and this guy wants to be one of us,
Easy.
So they lure him in, and next thing you know, this guy has to do what the secret society requires.
Yeah.
And that is killing a close family member. It's most often like a brother or a sister, but it's, I guess, in their mind, I mean, in anybody's mind, I suppose, it's about the most evil thing you can do is take the life of another person.
Right.
I mean, I don't know.
Especially a loved one.
Yeah.
You know, if you were a psychopath, I guess you could justify like, oh, I don't know this person, some random person, I just kill him, be on my way. This is someone you grew up with, someone you know and hopefully love, like,
Yeah.
and then you gotta. I can't imagine.
And you know, a lot of cultures do this.
Yeah.
Right. I know, without getting into too many details, there are a lot of gang members and stuff that part of their initiation is to set up a family member for like a home invasion robbery, and if they're killed, they're killed.
Right.
And it gives you status and power within that particular gang. Kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
You go back and slaughter your sister and do it in some sinister, evil, horrifying way, and you'll acquire supernatural
Prove
powers.
yourself, yeah. Prove yourself to the tribe or the group.
Yeah. So after they get their supernatural powers, they then achieve this ability to shapeshift. So yeah, I don't know who would want to do this. I mean, of course, we said earlier in the podcast I'd like to be a werewolf.
Yes.
But I wouldn't want to have to kill my sister or my wife or
I'd like to scare them, maybe.
maybe scare them. Yeah. I'd love to be able to just shapeshift into a werewolf in an alleyway and terrify some guy
like
bugging them.
Yeah,
I'd
be like
a
the Batman
good
of
werewolf.
yeah.
If there is such thing as a good werewolf, that's what I'd want to be. You know,
because
be a crime fighter.
Yeah,
but-
you'd never rob another old lady in your life if you saw some guy transform into a werewolf in a dark alley.
Exactly. And, you know, I mean, some guy is a child molester or something. You know, what's wrong with eating that guy?
Yeah, you know, gutting him real quick and chowing down on him.
So it should be. So anyway, okay, getting back to Skinwalkers. The evil society of witches, as we were talking about, right? So sitting around a campfire and you're thinking about wanting to be one, there is a society of these witches that are amongst the tribe members that maybe people aren't even aware of.
Right.
But these witches, they'll gather in dark caves or secluded places, and they'll initiate new members, plot activities, harm people from a distance with their black magic, and perform dark ceremonial rites.
You got to wonder how they choose who they're hurting. Are they hurting people in that tribe still that they're, you know, constantly infiltrating? Or are they leaving that one alone and then they're getting like other tribes?
Yeah, these are things that they won't tell us.
Because you would think that if you're picking and choosing people from that tribe, you wouldn't want to dwindle it down, because then you're not going to be able to get new members.
You'd think so. And so my assumption, again, being wrong probably because we don't know, is that it would be against people outside their tribe.
Right.
Unless they were taking retribution against one that maybe doesn't like the Skinwalker, right? So there's...
I guess they can infiltrate the other tribes too, because they can change into anything.
Right.
So it wouldn't really even matter then.
It's like...
There's some Navajo guy listening to us, like, you guys are a bunch of
you
idiots.
guys are so far off base. And it's possible that we are. We're only talking about what we can know based on research.
Exactly.
And if
the research that's put up is correct.
Yeah, and it may not be correct.
Right.
I've read a lot of stuff on Reddit specifically about this and the difference between the different shapeshifters in Skinwalkers.
Right.
And a lot of people, they say, you know, well, I'm Native American and you guys are wrong. But then they don't correct anything, you know. And I'm not saying we're wrong. I'm saying, you know, on the Reddit and subreddits that I've read, there is a lot of people don't know.
Right.
So we fill in the gaps, right? We try and make up our own crapola to rationalize maybe what's going on. But I don't know. My assumption is, because like a little bit later in the podcast, we do know that the Utes, which was another tribal community, right? They believed that they were cursed by the Navajo.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if that falls into the Skinwalker territory, but I would believe that they seek retribution against people outside their tribe and potentially people in the tribe that are against them.
Right.
like any community. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what community you live in. There's evil, there's good, right?
Right.
People that are against evil are hated by the evil,
Right.
right? Even in politics, one side hates the other.
Yep.
One side can't rationalize, what the other side thinks. And so there's that divide amongst people. And I would imagine even within like the Navajo community, people that are against witchcraft don't like it because they don't.
Right.
So I don't want to make it sound like, no, this is all part of their culture. This is a wonderful thing and they can choose whether they want to be a witch or not. They do have the right, I suppose, to choose to be a witch. But the Navajo community is against it.
Right.
And so they're good people against evil. And so I would imagine if you were completely against a skinwalker, they would have no problem taking retribution against you.
Right.
Right?
You would think.
You would think.
Yeah.
So,
Pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
In my mind.
Yeah. Even though
The
we're
outsider
wrong,
mind, yeah.
the outsider's mind who has no
Yeah.
contextual. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, so some of these ceremonies where they are initiating their new members and whatnot, they are similar to other tribal affairs like dancing and feasts and rituals and things of that nature, but they're corrupted, right? Yep. There's the dark connotation, and it's pure evil, and there's nothing good in what they're doing. And so they're said to actually have engaged in like necrophilia with female corpses. They commit cannibalism, incest. They rob graves in order to like steal bones and corpses and things so that they can continue their black magic, right? Part of that witchery way, right? Where they focus on corpses. During these gatherings, the skinwalkers will shapeshift into animal forms, or they run around butt naked, wearing beads and jewelry and ceremonial paints and whatnot. And so now I don't know who's ever witnessed that and who came up with that.
Right.
I don't know if there was a Navajo member that came out and said,
Yep.
This is what goes on in those rituals.
Yep.
But
Or some drunk outsider who's going, I bet you they're doing this over there. And
Yeah.
they really have no idea. And we just read it online.
Right.
So now we think it's right.
yeah, sometimes research can be completely inaccurate. And so we're the first to say, we don't know anything about skinwalkers. We're just literally repeating what we have researched.
Exactly.
And if it's all complete inaccurate information, then we apologize to the Navajo community for
And let us know. Enlighten us.
perpetuating a myth that isn't even the way you see things.
Right.
But this is what is available in books, movies, online, and when you research it, this is the limited information that we as outsiders would have. So we're relating it the best that we can. So skinwalkers, they will kill out of greed, anger, envy, spite, revenge, and a big reason for it, or at least what I've read, is that a skinwalker, which is basically just a witch or a sorcerer, they live on the unexpired lives of their victims, and so they must continually kill or perish themselves. So that's why there's this fear, I suppose, of a skinwalker, is that they do nothing good.
Right.
Ever. It's always evil. It's always for personal gain. It's usually, at least in the origin of the story, it usually results in death or property damage or personal injury.
Right.
It's always something bad. It's never for good.
You know, you got to wonder if you're a true believer in this, what we're reading right here. Obviously, like we said, that we don't know right from wrong with the research we have here, but let's say this is 100% correct in the beliefs and the lore and stuff like that, and you're a true believer in it. You got to wonder if you watch the news and you see like a grizzly bear attack, if you're like, I wonder if it was a bear, or I wonder if it was a skinwalker.
Yeah. It certainly can open your eyes to a lot of unexplained things.
That's
too.
a perfect cover if you're trying to stay mischievous and off the radar. Is you just turn into a grizzly bear and you maul some poor hunter or hiker, and
Yep, all because you don't like them.
yep,
Just revenge.
call it a day. You get more power. You go on your way, and the rest of
Right.
us outsiders think nothing else because
Yeah.
it's 100% likely that somebody could get mauled by a grizzly. It happens all the time.
Right.
So
Well, being here in Montana, we're really subjected to that. Now,
Exactly.
Now, we're awfully north of Navajo area.
right,
But I don't believe that it's only the Navajo communities that produce skinwalkers. So
Right.
they could be anywhere throughout the world.
Exactly.
Right. So we could have them here. Now here's a frightening tidbit. Let's say that everything we've said to this point is completely inaccurate.
Right, yeah.
And a waste of everyone's time.
Yeah.
Even listening to our podcast. Then we're okay.
Yeah.
Right? We're going to be just fine.
yeah,
But what if everything we're saying is accurate? Then we just invited skinwalkers into our lives.
Yep.
Right?
yeah,
So you and I are probably going to have something peering in our window.
yeah.
I've watched a lot of stuff on YouTube where they're always like, that dog is not my dog.
Yeah, exactly.
And I guess if what the tradition here is, if that's accurate and we're talking about it. Now, I don't know. Do you have to be Navajo in order for that to happen? Or
that's
is it
what I don't know.
anybody talking about a skinwalker? Because if so, we're screwed.
Yeah.
Because we had to bring it up and we're, whether we're right, wrong, or indifferent,
Yeah.
we are talking about them, and they say, don't talk about them.
And just to stick it to me because of what I was saying about the bear, they'll probably have a bear kill me because everybody that was watching the news will be like, oh yeah, just another Montanan who got,
Right.
unfortunately, got attacked by a bear on a hike or out hunting. So
Yeah. And the
Wouldn't
bear
think-
had human eyes.
yeah, wouldn't think twice about it.
Well, I don't know. I hope it's a lore. It's not fact, because we're not gonna survive this if it's real.
Well, if I get killed by a bear, I'm gonna, I'll take it to
or
my.
if our podcast
Yeah.
isn't on in 2 weeks, then we're both gone.
Yeah.
Obviously.
It was Skinwalker.
So that is the basic rundown, and I know that it was very minimal as far as information. But again, I go back to the fact that the Navajo people are very reluctant, almost to the point of refusing to talk about skinwalkers, how they actually came to be, et cetera, et cetera. So even though the information is limited, it's what we have available to us through research. And so that is basically how the legend, the myth, or the reality, however you want to look at that, that's how it all started with skinwalkers. It's where it started from, et cetera. So now we're going to kind of move into how to potentially identify a skinwalker or know if you have one.
Potentially, keyword there.
Potentially, yeah, because I don't know. Everything I've watched, and I know it's just movies, it's
Right.
Hollywood, but when somebody turns into somebody and they're talking to you in their voice, do we have any reason to question that?
Right. No, why would you?
Why would you? You just wouldn't. I mean, if I was a skinwalker doing this podcast with you right now and I'm just waiting to kill you when it's over with, you have no idea.
No, I wouldn't think twice about it.
You wouldn't think twice until I'm killing you, and then you're like, oh, skinwalker. So, yeah, there's no way to really know, but this is what we found during research. Once a skinwalker has shapeshifted into whatever form it's taking, okay, and let's say for the purposes of this particular explanation, it's shifted into an animal of some kind. You can usually tell, and that's the scary word there, usually,
Which
because
doesn't mean always.
apparently not always.
Right.
You can usually tell that they're not real animals because their eyes are different from those of the animal that they have become. Now, all I can think of is that YouTube video of the goat on that guy's porch.
Oh, just standing
Just
straight up.
standing there and kind of wavering a little bit with the big bulbous eyes, but the eyes look more human than goat-like.
And they almost look more on the front of its head rather than on the side.
Yeah, there's something wrong. There's something
It's
wrong
off.
with
It's
that
not
goat.
right. Yeah.
Yeah. Now that could be CG'd. It could be a fake or, you know,
Right.
somebody just having fun with this Skinwalker concept. But I think that's what they're trying to go for here when they say, look at the eyes. The eyes are very human-like. And when lights shine on them, they'll often turn bright red. So they get that retinal flash, you know,
Right.
like a human's eyes. I mean, not that all eyes don't do that, but apparently when they turn bright red, you're dealing with a Skinwalker. Now, because every photo I've ever taken since 1960, you know, your eyes always flash.
Yeah.
I'd hate to think that everybody in my life was a Skinwalker, but
Yeah, don't go around fighting people just because you might have caught a glimpse of shine of red.
right. So, but alternatively, their eyes look more like animals when they're in human form. So, if you're a Skinwalker in your human form, but you kind of have like cat eyes or something like that, it's an indicator that you're dealing with a Skinwalker. That it's a witch. It's not a regular human. Now, I don't know if all that information is accurate or not, but from the account of people that have supposedly witnessed Skinwalkers, the eyes is the key. Look at the eyes. And if it's a human eye on an animal or an animal eye on a human, you got trouble.
Run for the hills.
Run for the hills, right. And
Although it's fast as a car, so
although
maybe,
you can't outrun it, right. So people that witnessed Skinwalkers and talked about their encounters, which, you know, those must be non-Navajo people because they're not going to talk about it.
Right.
But anybody that has talked about their encounter with these Skinwalkers has described several ways to know if you have a Skinwalker nearby. They say that they will make sounds around your home, such as knocking on your windows, banging on your walls, or scraping noises on your roof. And on some occasions, they've been seen peering through windows.
Well, remember the one you were telling me about with the lady? I can't remember if you said it was a video or a story you read, but she was talking about how she swears that her dad was coming up to the window, and I don't know if it was frequent. Was it?
Right. It was nightly for a while.
Yeah.
And she gave this account that her father had passed away, but she kept seeing him peering in her window and trying to tell her to come out. And then you literally just showed me one before we went on air of a woman that was peering in the window, right? And she looks like she's wearing a mask.
Right.
Could totally hoax, right?
Could be, yeah, for sure.
Could be a total hoax. But it looked like she was wearing some kind of a weird mask, but the hand
was weird.
that hand was freaky. It looked like a dead person's hand or something.
And it almost had claws on it.
Yeah, and it was begging him to come out, right? Peering in the window and saying, help me, you know, please come out and help me. And they were freaking out in the house, right? I've also seen the animal ones.
The lady with the dog.
Some of them are hysterical, where the lady says, turn around, lay down, you know, speak. And then she goes, you ain't my dog.
Yeah, my dog doesn't know tricks.
Doesn't know how to do any of that. So there's some hysterical sightings out there. But some are scary.
Right.
Some are freaky. And I know there's that famous one that was actually on the news, but it was a hoax. It's the one where the guy's driving down the street. And it's a black and white image, but the thing's on all fours. And it's either between transformation or something. And it just looks, I can't describe it. I don't even know how to describe it.
Is this one where it's kind of darker outside?
It's dark outside.
Yeah.
It's like a black and white image.
Yeah.
And it's on the side of the road getting ready to cross the road, and it's looking straight at the car.
Yeah.
And I know there was like a news thing on it, you know. But it turns out I think it was from a movie or something. So it was clearly a hoax. It wasn't real. But that being said, that's kind of what a Skinwalker might look like during transformation. And in Navajo, when they say it's on all fours, this thing was on all fours. And like I said, that one was clearly a hoax. But I think that if you saw something like that in, excuse me, in real life, it would be terrifying.
Oh, yeah.
I don't even know what you'd do, right? And then if it started running next to your car while you're trying to speed away and it's keeping up,
Yeah.
to me, I don't know. I think this could be one of the most terrifying things out there,
Right.
right? Bigfoot, cool, right? Jersey
Right.
Devil, terrifying. A lot of things are terrifying to see. I think you can wrap your mind around it, but something like this, you don't even know what to do.
Right. And the legend is that it's specifically out to get you.
Right.
So
yeah.
it's not,
It's there
with
for
like,
evil purposes, period.
with like Dogman, where it's potentially warding people off. Bigfoot hasn't had any encounters where he's trying to hurt people. Jersey Devil, you have some stuff here and there, but again, it's like you said, you know what you're dealing with. Whereas this, you just don't know.
Yeah. So, I mean, it could take the shape of your pet or a loved one to lure you outside. And come on. I mean, if I saw my wife, well, maybe not now.
Well, yeah.
If my wife's peering in a window saying, help me, come on outside, I might think twice about it.
Yeah,
now.
she's done for it.
She's done for
if
it.
she's
yeah.
if she's real and needs help.
Probably Bigfoot out there and she needs help, and I'm not going to help her because she could be a skinwalker.
Yeah. But you're right. If she was at the window and she's like, Dave, come out, help, give me a hand, help me.
Yeah.
You'd
How
be
do you
like,
know?
All right, I'll be out.
Yeah, I'm not coming out
Yeah,
anymore.
no.
Not going to do it.
Yeah.
There's that one, there's another YouTube one where the dog is in the house. I don't know if you've seen it. It looks like a husky or a Malamute dog. And his dog's in the house, but the other one exactly looks like his dog.
Yeah.
Is scratching at the glass back door, losing its mind trying to get in, but the eyes are just bizarre.
Yeah.
And he's like, that's not my dog. And I thought, yep, he's got a skinwalker.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, and like I said, it could all be joking
Right.
and stuff, but the concept of it is terrifying.
Yeah.
So they say that in today's world, so everything we've talked about is like the origin
Right.
of the skinwalker is that they're evil doers. They're out to kill you. Nothing good ever comes from a skinwalker being around. But in today's day, they say that most sightings of these witches no longer include death or injury, but they're more just like trickster-like. That several people have told stories about animals running alongside their cars, matching their speed, and then they run off into the wilderness. And some people have actually said that these animals have turned back into a man, sometimes banging on the hood of their car, just doing things to frighten people
Right.
more so than out to kill you nowadays.
Unless, like we were talking about earlier, the animal attacks, some of them are,
Right.
So who really knows? If it is true and we're just like, oh, well, some biker going along a trail got jumped on by a mountain lion, so
Yeah,
that kind of sucks.
We definitely write things off.
Yeah.
We've talked about it literally in every episode.
Well, 'cause-
we justify things, we write things off, we don't want to believe it.
It's like you said, we like to rationalize things.
Yes.
It's rational for someone to be out in the woods and a mountain lion to pounce on them. That's something that could happen,
Completely normal.
especially when they're saying, I was riding my bike, it attacked me from behind. I was able to get it off. I ran, whatever. It got scared. When in reality, maybe it's a skinwalker.
It's all terrifying is what it is. So let's move into some stories of some sightings. During research, I found a couple things that are talked about because it's really hard to pin down a sighting of a skinwalker, right? You don't know, was it really an animal? The people that are saying their dead relatives are standing out their windows peering in, it has to be a skinwalker.
Right.
What else could it be? Some people would say, well, it's a ghost. It's
Yeah.
paranormal activity. Well, okay, so in my book, a skinwalker is still paranormal activity.
Yeah.
So, whether it's a ghost or a skinwalker, immaterial.
Right.
It shouldn't be out there.
Exactly.
It's terrifying. And
Shouldn't be
it's
luring me
time to
outside.
move.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I found this one story about this guy was making repairs on an old ranch home when he heard loud laughter coming nearby from one of his sheep pens, right? So thinking that he was alone out there, he goes to check on the sheep and he finds all but one huddled in the corner of a pen. So, I imagine you walk in and just all your sheep piled into one corner.
Right.
But across from it is a lone ram, separates himself from the group, and he's standing upright, laughing in a human manner.
Shooting that thing.
You got to smoke that, right? Yeah. I mean, I couldn't even imagine that.
Yeah. Because I can only think about it from our perspective. If you're hearing that and you're going out to look at it and you think you're alone, I mean, you personally, you're going to go out there unarmed?
Yeah.
No.
Exactly. Not going to happen.
Yeah. You're going to have a firearm.
45, 70 in hand.
Exactly.
Yeah. So anyway, this guy, he looks at the ram and he notices that the ram has human characteristics to it, right? Kind of like a human face, human eyes, etc. And then the animal kind of laughs at him and casually walks away. Well, if that story's true, what was that?
Right.
I mean, most rams can't laugh like a human that I'm aware of.
Nor do they have human characteristics.
Right. And so this guy probably had a skinwalker.
Yep.
And this particular story didn't say where that particular event occurred. But
you got to think too, and I know not to beat a dead horse here because I feel like we say this every episode, but if you're this guy, you're not going to tell that story unless it happened because people are going to think you're a nut job.
Right.
I
totally agree. And we do say it in every episode.
Right.
People that come out and tell their stories are doing so probably reluctantly anyway because they know everybody's going to call them a nut. But because it happened to you, you still want it to be out there.
Right.
And you are taking the risk that everybody's going to chalk you up to be the local lunatic.
And that's probably why he's not going out telling his friends and his neighbors and whoever else he's going, not this guy in particular, but people are going on your Reddits and your subreddits where you have people who understand and believe this stuff and they're not going to go, you know what, you nut job, go somewhere else with that. You're crazy. We don't believe you, blah, blah, blah,
well,
whatever it is.
There's so many trolls out there that
exactly
cruise Reddit and Facebook and different, social media things just to tear you apart.
Yeah. For no reason.
For no reason.
Yep.
And those people should be banished. But so another account is in the 1980s. So, we're going back a ways there.
Yep.
One of the most notable events, there was a family driving through the Navajo reservation. And as they're slowing down to make a sharp curve in the road, something jumps out from the ditch. And they described it as being a black, hairy being wearing a shirt and pants. So, I don't know, werewolf, I don't know.
Yeah.
But a few days after that event took place, the family was awakened by loud drumming and chanting at their home in Flagstaff, Arizona. Outside their home, there were 3 dark forms, appeared to be men, outside their fence line, but seemingly enough, these guys could not climb the fence. And then they soon left the area. And, they kind of chalked that one up to skinwalkers, that they saw one, and so they show up at the house.
Yeah, for retribution.
Gotcha. Just kind of torture them.
Yeah.
Like probably just letting them know, hey, you better not say anything.
Well, that alone right there is torture enough.
Every
time you walk outside, you're going to think that.
Yeah, every time you hear a drum.
Yep.
From that day forward, you'd be like,
exactly.
Oh my God.
They're back.
They're back. What are you going to do? And let's see, in the 1990s, and this one everybody knows, so I really don't even want to get into it, but I'll just say it. A ranch in northeast Utah, which is quite a distance away from the Navajo reservation, became the partial focus of skinwalkers. It was originally called the Sherman Ranch. The Sherman family lived there. They were terrified by all the things that went on, so they ended up selling the ranch. I think it went through a couple different hands before it became what's now known as Skinwalker Ranch, right? Yep. It has a history of like UFOs, aliens, cattle mutilations, crop circles, all that kind of stuff. It is located near the Ute Indian Reservation. And as we talked about earlier, right?
Yeah.
Where there was, do they do retribution within their own tribe, or do they do they seek outside people?
Right. Because the Ute think they were cursed by
The
him.
Ute say that the Navajo put a curse
Yeah.
on him. And it was total retribution for many different perceived transgressions against the Navajo. And so the Ute believe completely that the Skinwalkers are plaguing that particular area because of the curse.
Right.
I tried watching Skinwalker Ranch, and I suppose I should keep my opinion to myself. I found it kind of boring.
Yeah.
And so I just couldn't get through all the episodes. But I would say anybody that has an interest in UFO, alien stuff, the cattle mutilations, crop circles, potential Skinwalker sightings, I think they've seen people up on like ridges and stuff staring down at them. And it's pretty heavily guarded area. I know there's gates and stuff, and they've got armed people out there now preventing people from coming in, especially since notoriety on Netflix. People probably want to go see the ranch, so they have security personnel out there that will turn you away.
I can only imagine. I mean, just look at Area 51. They got signs that said you'll be shot if you, and people still try to.
That area is ridiculous. There's a few. There's several installations within the United States alone where there's, I don't want to say secret stuff, but there's government stuff going on that they may not want you to know about, and they make you stay away. Whether there's aliens there or whether they're just working on like aircraft, weaponry, et cetera. They don't want the average person seeing it, so they do turn you away.
Yep, it's aliens.
It's aliens, that's right. Which, that's coming up too. Yep. But so lastly, I think we're going to talk about how do you kill a Skinwalker? Well, you probably don't.
You probably don't, yep.
So that kind of witchcraft, as I told you earlier, it's kind of the antithesis of Navajo cultural values, and it's just not tolerated. Right. So anybody that says, "Oh, these Navajo people, man, they shouldn't be doing that." Well, no, they shouldn't be. Just like we shouldn't be committing crimes, in our communities. People do evil things, and some bad people want to become Skinwalkers.
Right.
So they do these heinous acts. They get into these dark circles of other witches, and they do rotten things. So, but most of the Navajo people, they don't tolerate it. They work to avoid it, and they want to cure it in their daily behavior. But when it does exist, and they know that it does, their laws have always said that when a person becomes a witch, they forfeit their right to exist. They forfeit their right for humanity, and they believe they should be killed.
Yeah.
So you ask yourself, okay, so how do you then kill a Skinwalker? And it's been noted that it's notoriously hard to kill, and attempts to kill them are usually unsuccessful. So what they say is that the shaman or the medicine man is the nemesis of a Skinwalker. And you usually require the assistance of a very powerful shaman.
You got to fight magic with magic.
You got to fight magic with magic because he knows the spells and rituals that can turn the Skinwalker's evil back on itself. I know a lot of people would believe that. A lot of people don't believe that. So a person like you or I may resort to a firearm.
Right.
So instead of going to the medicine man saying, I got a Skinwalker that's attacking me, we'll just try and shoot it.
Right.
Well, if you shoot it, it ain't going to kill it.
Probably just take it off and then
it's
going to get its revenge on you.
And then it's going to kill you. So it says, they do say that if you are going to shoot a Skinwalker with a bullet, it has to be dipped into white ash. And then when you do shoot it, if you don't hit it in the neck or the head, any other portion of the body, it ain't going to affect it.
Yep.
So,
and then you're done for.
God forbid
now
you
made
miss
it bad.
because you are now toast.
Yeah.
Right. You fire one round off at it, it transforms into something that's quick. It's on you in a matter of a second, and you're a dead man. So I wouldn't suggest trying to kill a Skinwalker unless it's your last resort.
Yep.
And if you have access to a medicine man, which I don't, I got to resort to a firearm. I probably don't have any white ash, so
Yeah.
I think I'm just a dead guy.
Yeah, just done
if
for.
a Skinwalker's after me. But anyway, I think that's pretty much it on Skinwalkers.
Yeah.
Whether we did it justice or didn't do it justice, I don't know. If anybody has any information on Skinwalkers that we didn't touch on, or if anything that we said is inaccurate, feel free to correct us.
Yeah.
At the end of the podcast, we'll give you the email, where you can contact us. And other than that, Jake, do you got anything?
No, that's it. We, like you said, we got it covered as good as we could with what we had.
Yeah.
So,
and I hope we did it justice for my daughter. 'Cause
Yeah.
she's
the one that wanted it.
looking forward to this episode, and hopefully she now knows if I die and I'm outside her window calling her out, don't go.
yeah. And don't shoot you either.
Yeah, that's right. Don't try and shoot me unless you got white ash.
Yeah.
But I think in 2 weeks we're going to be talking about UFO encounters.
Yeah.
I've had a couple. I'm going to kind of go over those with you, and we're going to talk about the possibility of aliens.
I like
it. They're not a cryptid, but they are potentially out there, and something that I think a lot of people are interested in. So,
Yeah.
unless you got anything else,
Nope.
I'd say that's it.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. Thanks for joining us today. If you enjoyed the show and you want to help us out, then go ahead and give us a follow, leave us a review, and don't forget to turn on the automatic download button so you don't miss any upcoming episodes. And as always, if you've had any experiences, stories, thoughts, comments, or questions, we'd love to hear from you. Send us an email to cryptidfanatic@gmail.com. Let us know if you'd like to be on the show or just have your story featured during one of our episodes.